If you're confused about when to charge travel fees, as well as how much you should be charging when you travel for photo shoots or for wedding days, then this video is for you.
Today, we're answering another really common pricing question that we discuss with our students all the time, which is, should I charge travel fees for my photography?
But before we jump into that, we do want to introduce ourselves.
I'm Hunter.
And I'm Sarah.
And we're Hunter and Sarah Photography, a professional husband and wife wedding photography team.
We're also educators, and our goal is to help photographers to build strong foundations in both their businesses and their personal lives so that they can run profitable and sustainable photography businesses.
So travel fees are seriously one of the most common and hotly debated questions when it comes to pricing for wedding and portrait photographers. And honestly, the TLDR, the sum up of this whole video is that yes, photographers should be charging travel fees for most cases, maybe not every case, but most cases, even if this is maybe like a free engagement session that you're doing for a wedding client. But how you really think about charging and what you charge based on specific travel is really what most of this video is going to be about.
Yeah, so if you aren't convinced quite yet that you should be charging travel fees in the first place, here's something that we want you to think about. Start to adjust your mindset a little bit. Mm-hmm. Your time is valuable.
Yes.
Photography is a skilled profession. This isn't just something that someone can just pick up and with a few minutes of training just do. You are a skilled professional. Your time is valuable. Yeah. Therefore, if someone is going to take up more of your time by asking you to travel, then they should have to pay you more.
So let's use a sort of a simplified example with some numbers just to maybe get my point across a little bit. Let's say that you charge $300 for a 1-hour portrait session. Now, if there's a location in your town, like a park or something that's 10 or 15 minutes from your house, then let's say you would get paid $300 for 1 hour of shooting and 30 minutes of travel. And so what that works out to is about $200 per hour.
But what if someone wanted to hire you for, that same portrait session offering, but they lived an hour and a half away from you? Now you are spending an hour shooting and then 3 hours in the car, the hour and a half there and the hour and a half back to make that same $300. So your overall hourly rate is that you're getting paid $100 an hour rather than $200 an hour.
So that might not sound that bad to you because you're like, oh, well, at least I'm still making money. But think about it this way. If you worked in any other job, right? If you worked for a corporation, if you worked in retail, it doesn't matter. And you knew okay, I make $15 an hour. Let's say, throw a number out there. Let's say your boss came in and was like, hey, you know what? So we had this client, they just came in and they want something that's a little bit special. And so for this week, we're going to cut your pay in half. You're only going to make $7.50 an hour. You would be furious. You'd be like, wait, you can't just cut my rate in half because this client wants something special. Yet that's what you do as a photographer who runs their own business. That's what you do to yourself every single time you give away these travel with no associated fee. Yeah. So if you're driving all over and not charging travel fees, you're doing that exact thing to yourself.
It's like, congratulations.
You played yourself. Anyway, we'll talk about this later.
But knowing that you need to charge for travel is only half of the battle. The most difficult part is knowing what to charge.
And speaking of knowing what to charge, Sarah and I do want to make sure that you are aware that next Tuesday, November 29th, 2022, we are hosting our next live workshop for photographers called Pricing for Wedding and Portrait Photographers, how to know what to charge in order to get booked. Now, tickets are on sale right now. You can use the link in the description below. But if you are watching this video after November 22nd, after the live training has actually been held, then you can still sign up. And what you're purchasing is, instead of tickets to a live event, you'll just be getting the replay, but it will still be available for purchase using that same link.
And as you probably know, charging the right price for your photography it's absolutely essential if you want to run a photography business that is both profitable and sustainable.
A lot of people can get one, but getting both is the secret to actually being able to do this for a career in the long term.
Secret sauce. But figuring out what to charge for your wedding and portrait photography services can feel just completely overwhelming. Yeah. So we get questions from students all the time, just like the one that inspired this actual video.
Yeah, and so in this 2-hour workshop, whether you attend live or you watch the replay, we are going to break down everything so that you know exactly how to figure out how much to charge for your products and services, no matter where you live, no matter how long you've been doing this, no matter your skill level or your level of expertise. We're going to help you figure out right exactly how to price yourself. And we're also going to answer a bunch of common pricing questions like the one that inspired this video about travel fees.
Yeah, and jumping back into travel fees, knowing how to price a travel fee is tricky, but the most common mistake that we see all the time that we definitely we definitely don't think is the right move is to charge a like specific dollar per mile fee.
So this would look like something like, somewhere on your website or on your pricing guide or whatever, something like, $1.25 per mile after 30 miles or 45 cents a mile or something like that. But honestly, we think this is the worst way to charge for travel because it gives you zero flexibility.
Yeah. In our video last week, we actually talked about venue fees and why sometimes you might want to make a venue fee higher or lower, depending on how badly you want to shoot at a specific location or like with a specific couple.
And travel fees can kind of work the same way to either incentivize or disincentivize things that you do or don't want your clients to sort of move towards, right? And so here's an example. There's this location outside of Charlottesville here where we live that is super popular for photo shoots. And when I say everyone wants to do their engagement and family photos there, I mean everyone. We have been there like 20 or 30 times, right? And the problem is this is a relatively small location. It's a little overlook right off the side of a very popular scenic drive. And it is always jam-packed with photographers and photo shoots happening all at once in this tiny location. It's a huge pain to shoot at because of those reasons. And oftentimes we're fighting other photographers to try to like get the space for our couples and the photos don't turn out as well. Plus it's like 45 minutes away from our house, right? This is not a location that we want to be shooting at all the time.
So because of those reasons, we actually ask for a $200 travel fee if one of our couples does want us to photograph their engagement session there. They're not shooting us. This serves two purposes all at the same time. First, it discourages people from wanting to shoot at that location that is crowded, really difficult to shoot at, and is 90 minutes away from where we live. And if they really, really do want to shoot there, then we make an extra $200 for doing all of that extra work, working around those other photographers and sessions, which still feels good to us.
And honestly, if you want to know how we ended up at that $200 number, we started at 50 and we still felt like we were shooting there too often. So we went up to 100 and we still felt like we were shooting there too much. So we went to 200, and at $200, we shoot there every now and then and we don't mind it so much. And so that's how we figured it out, is we use our intuitive pricing, which we're going to get to a little bit later in this video. But let's think about if we had done a strict dollar per mile rate, right? Maybe we landed at that $200 number because we charge, $6.25 a mile, which, it's about 30 miles away from our house. Here's where the problem kicks in, right? That rate is not going to match perfectly for every location that we shoot at, right? And so here where we live, we're about 2 hours away from our nation's capital, Washington, D.C. And if you've ever seen or been to Washington, D.C., you know that it is a really beautiful place with beautiful architecture, tons of landscaping and monuments and all these things. And our travel fee, even though it's like 4 times as far as this overlook that's right near, 45 minutes from our house, it's 2.5 times as far, whatever. It's only $300. It's only a little bit more. And the reason is, if we took that $6.25 that we used for this overlook and we used it for DC, we would have to ask for a $700 travel fee on top of a $1,000 session, and no one would ever shoot there, and no one would ever hire us to do that, and we would basically never shoot there. But if we took the $300 DC travel fee and we tried to apply that dollar per mile rate to this overshoot that we don't like shooting at, the fee would be like $70. And we already know from experience that if we only charge $70 to shoot there, we will shoot there all the time, which we don't really like to do, right?
Yeah. Hopefully you see the problem here. A hard and fast dollar per mile rate is honestly just really limiting. And one of the beautiful things about running your own business is that you are your own boss and you get to set your own prices. Yeah. People don't get to haggle you to decide what you're going to set. So set them in a way that makes sense for you and for your business.
So just a minute ago, I mentioned sort of that intuitive pricing, right? We landed on that $200 number because we figured out what feels good to us, what feels right to us, right? And so we call that our sort of intuitive pricing method. Sometimes we jokingly call it the no Ragrets pricing, because the last thing we want to do is price something in such a way that when someone says, okay, yes, I will buy that from you, we're like, oh shoot, it's not really worth it to us to do it at that price, right? The last thing we want to do is have regrets about our own pricing. And so that's why we jokingly call it the no regrets pricing method.
Yeah. So this basically means that we just price our travel on a case by case basis. So, we factor in what the job is, how badly we want to shoot it, how busy we expect to be in that season. If they want a Saturday in October,
Maybe that $200 will be a $300 fee, right?
Yeah,
we get to set those prices because it's our business.
Or if we want to go to a location for any other reason, we take all of those things into account.
So a location that is the same distance away might have no travel fee if we're really dying to shoot there, right? Intuitive. We do what feels right for us and for our business and for that season that we're in. And here's another reason this is really helpful, especially when it comes to weddings, and that is that not all locations are created equal, right? You could have two wedding venues that are both 100 miles away. So AKA they would take us the same amount of physical time to get there. But let's say one of them is this scenic drive through this really beautiful location and it's a really gorgeous wedding venue. We love shooting there. And the other one is like this really stressful drive through traffic and we hate it and it always takes way too long. And yeah, sure, maybe it's also 100 miles away. But you better believe that, if it's really inconvenient and stressful to get there, we might charge a little bit of a higher travel fee to get us there so that, hopefully maybe we shoot there a little bit less or maybe they make it worth our while to get there.
Yeah. And why? Because we, just like with the engagement session location that we don't really like, we charge more so that if we do actually book the job at the location that we are less excited about, we just don't have any regrets.
No regrets, fam.
Can at least cover our costs. But with the other job, maybe we're okay if we don't 100% cover our expenses, if we know that we'll really enjoy the trip more while we're there.
And let's talk a little bit more about that, right? Because sometimes the travel fee isn't just how much time, maybe it's not just your time, but maybe you got to get a hotel or even buy a flight, and there are hard costs associated. And so we want to give you another example of what Sarah meant by sometimes you might not even cover your costs if you're really excited about a location, right? This is exactly what we did with the wedding that we photographed in Puerto Rico last month. And so we met this really wonderful couple. We photographed their engagement session almost 2 years ago, and they just totally fell in love with our work and the way that we made them feel as we photographed their engagement session. And so when the time came for them to discuss their wedding with us, and they were considering us as their wedding photographer, and they told us they were getting married in Puerto Rico, where Sarah and I had been wanting to go for a long time. What we basically landed on was that we were only going to charge them a $500 travel fee on top of our $6,000 or so wedding coverage, because we just really wanted to go to Puerto Rico, honestly.
Yeah, and if we had stuck with our $6.25 per mile, we would have had to charge a $9,000 travel fee on a $6,000 wedding package.
Right, ridiculous.
We obviously would not have booked that. That would have been literally insane. And in fact, we knew that our expenses for flight and hotel and food would probably be $2,000 or $3,000.
But we also knew that we were pretty much already right at the top of their wedding photography budget. And so if we pushed too much higher, we were probably going to lose the job altogether. And we also felt like, hey, they want us to shoot for 3 days. Let's turn this into a 7-day, basically a vacation where we work right in the middle or right near the end and get to hang out in Puerto Rico in the fall. And so we knew at the end of the day, we were going to make enough from our actual coverage fee in order to cover our costs and all that. And so, yeah, hey, maybe we lost a little bit of money on the travel, but we had a really good time. It was such a fun trip, and we were really excited to work with this couple. And so we said, hey, sure, we'll eat some of our own costs. You better believe we wouldn't have done that if this was a location that we had no interest in going to, or with a couple that we weren't excited to work with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. The one the only lingering emotion that a lot of our students feel is guilt. What if my clients get upset if I ask for a travel fee? Or what if they want a location that's just so special to them and they just can't afford my travel fee? Or what if they refuse to book me if I charge a travel fee?
And these are some of the questions that we're going to dive into in more depth in our pricing for photographers workshop. But we do want to say here as we're wrapping up this video that if you don't value your time, no one else will, right? If you tell your clients that them driving 3 hours in the car to meet you or you meeting them wherever they live is going to cost exactly the same, of course they're going to choose the one that saves them 3 hours each way in the car, and you will only ever be traveling.
Mm-hmm. And if you're concerned about the client, if you're concerned that a client won't get that special location that they want, or like they won't get what they want, like don't be concerned.
Yeah.
We all of us want to celebrate our clients and make them feel special. But if
you don't feel that way, then please don't be a wedding photographer.
Yeah,
because that's what your job is about, is loving on people and making them feel special.
Yeah. But if you work at an unsustainable pace and without compensation, your dream job is going to very, very quickly become an absolute nightmare. And you will not have the stamina to serve and love more couples in the long run.
And when we talk about profitability and sustainability, this is a big part of what we talk about to our students is you got to love and serve your clients. You got to make them feel special. You got to give it your all. But there comes a point where you are giving too much and you're leading to burnout. And like Sarah said, if you burn out, you're not going to be serving anyone well. So there comes a point where you got to say, hey, I know you really want me to drive 3 hours to you, but that's going to be a couple $100 because like my time matters too. And if they're upset at that, then you don't want to work with them because that's a red flag. They don't respect your time.
Yeah.
But the big thing to remember as well is that if you feel like, oh, well, aren't my clients going to feel like I'm doing a bait and switch, that I told them the engagement session was free, but then there's a $300 travel fee, or, you know, they booked me for a $1,000 engagement session, but there's a $300 travel fee, right? As long as you have some options that are free, that they are welcome to choose, they're going to be fine with it. They're going to have this expectation. We talked about this again last week with Venue. If they're getting like a premium experience, if you're driving 3 hours to them, or they're getting this beautiful, crazy, you know, out there location, they should know they're going to pay a little bit more than that than for like, you know, the park that's 10 minutes from your house, right? And so we have been doing things this way. We have our top 10 engagement session location lists. 7 of them have fees, 3 of them don't. And we haven't had anyone complain. And we've been doing it this way literally for years.
Mm-hmm. But guys, that is it for this week.
Thank you so much for watching. We really do hope that this video, as long with all of our other pricing ones, has helped you figure out a little bit better how to price yourself in a way that is both profitable and sustainable.
As a reminder, tickets are on sale for just five more days for our live workshop, Pricing for Portrait and Wedding Photographers. The link to sign up for the workshop is in the link below. So if this wasn't quite enough for you, which it probably wasn't, go and sign up.
The other 95% of our pricing advice is all going to be in that workshop. Yeah. Now, if you're not ready to sign up for the workshop, but you do want to be a part of a community of other photographers who are building their businesses, as well as just like get updates from us about our new videos, our new posts, and any future workshops we hold, then we would encourage you to join our Facebook community, which is called Mastering the Wedding Photography Biz with Hunter and Sarah. The link to the description the link is in the description below this video.
As always, if you found this video helpful, please give us a like and subscribe to make sure that you get all the updates as we post stuff. Also, feel free to comment below with any thoughts or questions.
All right, guys. We will see you, hopefully, in our pricing workshop. But if not, we'll see you next week.